finding our place in the story is one of those things that can be helpful. Sometimes in life things unfold that seem like it's not really our situation or our issue. It doesn't pertain to us so much. And then what did your grandmother say to you? Try putting yourself in their shoes and see what happens. Welcome to Finding God in the Times of COVID. Today is July the 17th. I'll invite us to do that today, sort of placing ourselves in the story by the reading of a scripture passage. There are lots of different ways to approach reading the Bible. Some of them are more critical, and what I mean by that is sort of employing different critical strategies, contextualizing the story, digging deeper into the history, the geography, the sociology of the time, and bringing all those insights to bear to try to come to the clearest understanding. Another way of reading scripture people might refer to as a devotional way of reading. It's a way that we try to not necessarily engage the critical mind, but tap into the creative spaces in our heart to see, in this instance, where we find ourselves in the story. So I'll share with us a story that is found in Mark. It's the 5th chapter. And as I read the story, after I ring the bell, I want you to find yourself in the story. You might pay attention to things like what things look like in your imagination, what things smell like back in first century Middle East venues, what things sound like, who's there, what do they look like, and where are you in the story? Are you one of the people that's named? Are you a bystander? Where do you see yourself? So I'll ring us in. Find yourself in the story, and then I'll leave some moments at the end for us to just experience what it's like to be in the sandals of those people gathered there. And what does it mean for us that we're here in the story itself? When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, this great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet and he begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, and she may be made well and live." So he went with him. Again, where do you find yourself in this story? A large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all she had. And she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she had said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately, her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that power had gone out from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see what he had done. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Now, while he was still speaking, some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When he came to the house of the leader of the synagogue, he saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said, "Why do you make a commotion and weep? The child's not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the girl got up and began to walk about. She was 12 years of age. At this they were overcome with amazement. He strictly ordered them that no one should know this, and told them to give her something to eat. So just spend a couple of moments now, maybe replaying the stories, and placing yourself in there somewhere. What do you see, hear, feel, experience, smell, notice? And as you find yourself in the story, how does God come to you in that story? And in your life today? Peace be with you.